Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Relationships. What would you do if somebody came up to your partner and said something very inappropriate? Well, in today's video, we're gonna see what OP did. But before we begin, don't forget about Lost Genre AITA Daily, a channel dedicated exclusively to Am I the A-hole? Now, let's get started with the first story. This one's from user Tomorrow Maybe Today. Friend lied that I cheated. Boyfriend dumps me and kicks me out, but the truth is revealed months later. I, 26 female, was with my ex-boyfriend, 26 male, for 4 years. We moved in after 2 years of dating and were genuinely happy. I genuinely thought that I was going to marry him one day. I even moved to a different country to stay with him when his job relocated him to Europe. Throughout our relationship, I noticed that one of his girlfriends, 25 female, didn't really like me. I've tried many times to befriend her, but I gave up after constantly being on the receiving end of her cold shoulder and snarky remarks. Ex knew about this and told me that she didn't have that many girlfriends and probably didn't know how to be friends with another woman. She's the only woman in their clique of 7 guys who were all lovely to me. On the 31st of December 2019, both of us attended a party to celebrate New Year's. I don't drink, so I was completely sober. Ex got completely smashed. The next afternoon, I woke up to my stuff packed and him telling me that we were done and that I had to move out. I was completely blindsided and so confused. He accused me of cheating on him. I would never do that. I think it's such a terrible thing to do. I remember crying so hard and telling him that I did no such thing, but he still kicked me out. My best friend and her boyfriend, without hesitation, opened up their home to me and told me that I was welcome to stay. Bless their hearts. They're the sweetest couple ever. During that dark period of time, I was trying to process everything. I was honestly so depressed. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I felt like a zombie, like I was barely existing. I told my family what had happened and they were very upset for me and wanted me to fly back home. They live in a different country and I didn't want to travel during a lockdown and potentially put them at risk of catching the bug. While this was happening, all of our mutual friends and his family members turned against me, choosing to believe that I was a cheater and completely cut me off in support of my ex. They posted shady stuff about me online, calling me a hoe and a cheater. Rumors started to spread and it affected me so much that I deleted all social media and blocked all of them everywhere. I just wanted to disappear. As time went on, I was one day introduced to one of my best friend's friend. He was really sweet and kind. We slowly became friends and started chatting and video calling. Fast forward to June and I feel myself slowly falling in love with him. He doesn't believe what so many people say about me being a cheater and whatnot. He asks me out on a proper virtual date and I agree. We started dating and I'm so happy. I feel like he is the light at the end of my tunnel. Well, yesterday, someone from my ex's clique leaked a video on Instagram where ex's girlfriend was boasting of how she lied and came up with this plan to break ex and I up. She apparently paid someone to lie to my ex and tell him that I seduced him at the New Year's party and slept with him. Once that came out, a lot of my ex's friends and family members have been trying to contact me. They tried contacting my best friend, who basically told him to F off. My ex came to the house and was begging for me to speak to him. It was really dramatic, lol. I feel like I don't owe them any of my time at all and just want them to leave me alone. However, my parents think that it's a little sad that ex is outside the house crying and begging to speak to me. They think that maybe I should give him a chance to speak to me. I feel really conflicted. I feel like I'm being too harsh on him and his group of friends. Wow, okay, well before we move on, let's take a look at just 3 community comments to see what kind of advice they have for OP. Wordpost1 says, I myself have experienced major lies being spread about me. You don't owe them anything. They crucified your reputation publicly and they can apologize publicly. Let them work it out for themselves. You do not need to give them any of your time or energy. Let them sleep in the bed they made. These people may have been duped, but they took it really far by publicly trying to ruin your reputation. They are not the kind of people you want to give any of your time to. They went out of their way to be hurtful. That tells you a lot about who they are. Stay strong and stay no contact. It is the healthiest choice for you. Good luck and congrats on the new relationship. I wish the best for the two of you. Then Hightech 100 says, "You're right now, right? Why opening the door to trouble? Your ex will always blame himself for what he did and ask you to come back to him. He chose to believe someone else instead of choosing his girlfriend of 4 years. Wash your hands of this matter and follow your friend's example." If I were you, I would tell your ex, "I am happy that you finally learned the truth. However, our relationship ended when you chose to believe someone else. I am happy now, so please go on with your life." And Chitlo says, "It is sad. Not sad for you, but sad for him. What was sad for you have been the last 6 months or so where you cried because he didn't give you an opportunity to talk. He chose to believe his friend and with no regard to who you'd shown yourself to be over the past 4 years, kicked you out without so much as a conversation. Now, take regard for who he showed you he was, how little faith and trust he had in you, and let him wallow in his own choices. You have, through no fault of your own, the opportunity to see how the circle of friends you had around you really felt, and now you've gotten a chance to build a better sphere of influence. There's no conversation you need to have. You're being far less harsh to your ex than he was to you." Yes, OP, that is all great advice and you should listen to it. Don't go near your ex, don't let him talk to you, don't talk to his friends, and don't talk to his family. They showed their true colors and what they thought about you. They didn't even give you the chance to talk. At this moment, it's not about being fair or being the bigger person. You simply don't need that grief. Let it go and focus on your new relationship and the friends that you have. Life has given you a fresh start at love. Take it. Alright, and now let's move on to the next story. This one's from user ThrowArray188899. I, 28 male, accidentally punched a woman. She went around telling people that I intentionally hit her and also that I was abusive to my wife. Last week, there was a small get-together at my friend's house. Just us, 9-10 of us close friends. Now, he invited one of his friends, Susan, 28 female, and she brought along her brother, 30 male, who none of us knew. My wife, 28 female, was present there too. Her brother, Dave, was being weird with my wife from the get-go. Half the time he was there, he was staring at my wife inappropriately and trying to touch her whenever he found her alone. She even asked me to hold her hand the entire time because he was making her uncomfortable. I told her we could leave if she wanted to, but she said she won't let a creep sabotage her evening. This was a bad decision on our part. Should have left earlier. I got a work call in the middle of the party and my wife told me to take the call and assured me she would be fine with her friend Lisa. When I came back 5 minutes later, I see Dave trying to talk to Lisa and my wife and both of them looked very uncomfortable. Apparently, he'd been trying to convince them to get inside the pool naked. I confronted him and well, things escalated. He said some colorful words to my wife and Lisa, implied that my wife was totally leading him on before I came back. I physically shoved him away from my wife and Lisa. He retaliated and not proud of this, but we got into a fist fight. It was all adrenaline and fists and punches. I raised my hand to punch him, gained enough momentum that it have knocked his teeth out, and all of a sudden his sister Susan comes in front of him trying to shield him, and my fist hit her in the face. I apologized. I profusely apologized and even offered to take her to the hospital. I've never raised my hands on a woman and I never will. This was an F-up and I was very ashamed of myself. Susan didn't accept my offer and neither my apologies. Dave took her to the hospital. The next day, she put up a story on Instagram about how I hit her with a photo of her injury and her face. The story they're going with is that my wife and Lisa were totally hitting on Dave, and when I found out, I hit Susan out of anger. Now, I've been getting threatening messages on my social media accounts. Someone even found my LinkedIn profile and messaged my company asking why they hired women abusers. Lisa and my wife have tried to mitigate this disaster by posting the correct version of the story, but it looks like people have made up their minds that I'm an abusive a-hole. Some have even messaged my wife asking her to divorce me, or if I abuse her too, or why is she supporting someone who hits women. I contacted Susan through my lawyer and said that we're gonna sue for defamation and slander, that let's settle this in court, and that other people present at the party are ready to testify against her. Dave and her are now begging us to forgive them as they are very poor. They are. Both have been unemployed since 2 to 3 years. And they're even ready to post on social media that they lied. My wife thinks we should definitely sue them. Lisa thinks that a court case will really F them over and destroy their lives. I kinda agree with both of them. What should I do? Edit. I replied to a comment saying this, and since a lot of people think that I shouldn't have gotten into a physical altercation with the guy, I'll reply his exact words. Your wife was begging for my C before you rudely interrupted us. This was when I shoved him away, and then he threw the first punch. It escalated from there. I know this isn't a justification for the physical fight, but well, it is what it is. Oy. Okay, well, first let's take a look at some of the community comments to see what they recommend for OP to do. Great Do a Nothing says, if they're saying they will post a retraction, have them do it, then sue them. Then Mortvir says, if you can, take screenshots of any communications you've had with them, especially if it's them admitting to the lie. Whether you go ahead with the court case or not, people may still wonder afterwards if they only backed down because they were bullied into it because they couldn't afford a legal battle. Any tangible proof from them could help to clear your name on social media and with your employer, current or future. Better than good reviews from your friends will. And OP responds, yes, my lawyer contacted her through email and he has sent me the copies of the exchange between them. Apart from eyewitnesses, we also have proof of her admitting she made this all up because her brother was embarrassed he got beat up in a fight and they decided to use her injury against me. Then Desert Fairy says, they intentionally endangered your family by creating an internet scandal. Not only will no one believe a retraction, you will be dealing with this crap for years. Sue them. You won't get much, but your boss will see that the courts sided with you and hopefully your job won't be lost for this. Get off social media, your wife too, and start over. New phone numbers, new accounts, etc. They made their choices. You now have to protect yourself. Then F U C K says, my instinct is that you should sue them. They blatantly lied in order to tarnish your name, and it resulted in people reaching out to the company you work for. You could have lost your job because of them. Had they not posted it publicly, then I would say no, but sharing it with probably hundreds of people show they were being malicious, not just lying to defend themselves. Even if they post something admitting to their lie and apologizing, they might still go around verbally telling people otherwise. Or people might think that you threatened her, so now she's saying she lied so you don't hurt her. Suing them proves that there are consequences to their actions, and it'll give you a chance to show them, in court, how much their lie impacted you. If your wife is on board and you both can financially handle it, then go for it. Maybe just be prepared to take a light settlement at the end so you don't ruin them? And finally, Zen Mechanist says, sue them. They deserve nothing less than to be raked over the coals for lying about you and trying to ruin your lives. They weren't forced to lie, they weren't forced to post lies. They did so because they thought they could ruin your lives and reputations without repercussion. They are only begging for mercy now that they are in jeopardy. They didn't care when it was they who had the upper hand. He behaved horrendously. She behaved foolishly. Don't interfere in a fight unless you accept that you may get hurt. And then they both lied and tried to F you over. He's a predatory creep and she's an enabler. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You didn't hit her, you tried to hit him and she got in the way. People need to realize that if they want to get involved in a fight, they might get hurt. OP, I agree with all of it, especially the part about suing them and raking them over the coals. Posting something like this on the internet is inflammatory, Instagram and Twitter. These people know how incendiary social media can be with a post like this. I'm sure a lot of us have seen posts like this on our Facebook feed or Twitter or Instagram. And I'm not saying all of those cases are lies like this one. What I'm saying is that these things spread like wildfire, and if it's not true, like in your case, it can really ruin somebody's life. Thankfully, so far, you haven't lost your job or nobody has identified you in the public and actually confronted you face to face, because that's putting you in danger. So yeah, no amount of apologies or retractions should save these people from your lawsuit. However, like the first commenter says, wait for them to make the retraction and then sue them. What about you guys? What do you think OP should do? Let me know in the comment section. Alright, and we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope you liked it. If you did, go ahead and click like, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Also, I've got another channel, I'm sure you saw at the beginning. There's a link in the description, so just go over there and get your daily dose of Am I the A-hole? And finally, don't forget to visit the Lost Genre subreddit, where you can cross-post stories from other subs or share your own story if you're comfortable enough. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.